Amanda from the Fundamental Home, and I am here with Rick.
Hello.
And he's here with his cup of coffee and his blue cup. Show the people, they gotta see it.
Oh, well, I got my coffee.
There it is. Okay, and
Sunday.
We are talking about the 3 financial lessons that we think that we taught our kids that were the most important. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you the 3 financial lessons that I think were the most important ones that we taught, and then he's going to tell you the 3 that he thinks were the most important. But today, this particular video, we're going to talk about my most important. But I'm going to let Rick weigh in. And then
thank you, dear.
You're welcome. And then he can share with you on his video what his top 3 are. And then we're going to ask all the kids what they think their most important financial lessons were. And we'll see how it all comes together. And then Rick and I will do another follow-up video and talk about, now that we've heard our choices and the kids' choices, anything that we change, do different, or after we reflect on everyone else, if we change our answers. So anyway, we're going to talk about mine first.
Okay.
Because you know why? Because I do this channel.
Ladies first.
Okay, so my first one is priorities. I think we told them to set priorities when it comes to their finances. And my example is that Rick has worked a job that is not a fancy job for a lot of years.
Right.
He is perfectly qualified to get a more fancy, higher paying job.
Oh, thank you, dear.
But he has chosen to stay at his particular job because of the freedom that it gives him to have time with his family and also have time for ministry and other things that we think are more important. And so I think that it was important to teach our kids that the most important thing in their life isn't the money that's being made. Okay, you have to make enough to provide for your needs, and you have to do the best you can with what you make.
Right.
But the money itself is not the number one thing. So I think that was the most important thing that we've taught them. And you have any thoughts on that?
People that value money and making more money. I think it's very easy to think that way. And I know there was a time earlier in life when I thought that way. So it's really easy. And if you rest in those thoughts too long, it can really set a course for your whole family. You know, not just you, but your family too, because they have to, you know, you take your family along when you go down that road.
Yeah.
And a lot of families, I think, struggle to stay together. Yeah. Struggle to get along. I think what I'm trying to say is, I think in the end, the push to gain in that way hurts more than it's worth it. Yeah.
Now, we're originally from the Washington, D.C. area, and we moved to North Carolina, rural North Carolina. And I think one of the differences, and you might agree with this, between the 2 places is the D.C. area is all ambition.
Yeah, I think when I said that when I was younger, I had that in me of wanting to do, to achieve more. Not that I don't want to achieve now, but it's in a different way.
Yes.
You know, it's when we were growing up, and the way it was, you know, even just in school, you know, it was like the whole idea of step on the little guy. And no, seriously, just climb that ladder and just get as high as you can and get as much as you can. And in different places where you live, I think that's pushed more.
Yeah, there's a cultural aspect to it.
Yeah, like in Maryland, you know, people would work 2 to 3 jobs just so they can live like the Joneses or whatever they say. Like, you know,
up the Joneses.
Yeah. Here they're fine with working one job and being with their family and all. Not everybody, but a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that there, and I was going to actually say that it was not uncommon for people to have 2 and 3 jobs, both husband and wife, and almost never see their children. And part of it was the fact that it was a very expensive area to live in.
True.
But part of it was also their own priorities and values they set as a family. And I think that there is a large focus on money there and prestige. And it's not just money; it's also prestige.
We're not talking about money to survive. This is money to have all the fancier things, just to
to do all the vacations.
Right.
Every family had to go to Disney World. You've got to have 2 nice vehicles, not old junky vehicles. They had to be nice. You have to have a big nice house in a neighborhood.
And like I said, not that each one of those things is really bad, but the fact that we're talking about priorities.
We're talking about it's bad if you set those things over your family time.
If you try for the big house and you sacrifice your kids and your wife, you know, that's not worth it.
That's when it's a problem. So I think that it was important that we taught our kids that, and I think that now that we're here, it's a little bit easier because it is a slower pace here, and I think people have different priorities here. Here it's more about family and friends and laid back, almost to a fault, because you know it's almost some people kind of don't even try a little bit. And I'm not saying everybody, but there are those.
There are some.
And you don't get that in Maryland. Maryland, it's the opposite. So it's just kind of, it was kind of different. Okay.
So like here you can sit on your porch and do YouTube videos.
Well, you can do that in Maryland too.
I just never did.
Yeah. But anyway. All right. My number 2 is that we've taught them to stay out of debt.
Yep.
Not just taught, but kind of enforced it. Like we haven't let them accumulate any debt. I have kind of this idea that I want them to be, when they leave our house, 30 years ahead of most people. I want to give them what I'm calling a 30-year head start.
We aim high.
Because I think that a lot of people that we grew up with graduated college and had college debt, and then they had a car or 2 that they had debt on.
And they got a house.
And then they bought a house that they had a 30-year mortgage on. And our goal is that our children have a head start on all that. They don't have any college debt, they don't have any vehicle debt, and they don't have even a mortgage. We'd really like them to start off with a home that's paid for. We're not paying for it, they got to pay for it, but we're trying to give them the space and the ability to do all of that.
Well, debt is a hole that you get in and you can get out, but it is so difficult. You know, it's easy to get in the hole of debt, but it's hard to get out.
Yep.
And the idea is that we're trying to train our kids so they just miss the hole altogether. You know, because it wastes a lot of time. You know, and you learn great lessons. You know, but it would be better to be taught by somebody who's been there. And you know, and that's what we're trying to do. You know, we've been there, we've done that. Now don't do this and don't do that, and maybe they can have more success in that area.
So we've tried to make sure they have college educations that they don't owe a dime on. So far, so good. And we've tried to make sure they have vehicles that they don't owe anything on. You know, that they own their vehicles outright. So far, so good. And then we're working on the house thing. That's a little bit trickier.
Yeah.
But Brian's 20 years old, and he's living in our house, and he has a paid-for college education, he has paid-for vehicle. So now he can pretty much, he's not rushing out, he's not trying to get married or leave on his own, and we're not rushing him out.
No.
He's perfectly happy, there's plenty of room here, he's got loads of freedom, and I feel perfectly content letting him spend the next couple of years here saving money and buying a home without debt, so that he can go out and live his life with a 30-year head start. Now, a lot of parents aren't really into that. They think their kid turns whatever age and they got a college degree and they got a job and they should be out on their own and independent. And that's cool if that's how you feel about it with your family. I'm not knocking anybody else. But as far as our family goes, I think it's a good thing for him to leave our house completely set up and debt-free. I'm not buying his house. He's going to have to buy it.
No, right.
But we're trying to give him the space and the ability to get started on a good foot.
I agree.
All right, so the last thing that I think is important.
Number 3.
Is we've taught them to think ahead.
Thinking ahead, yeah.
Part of the reason that we've been able to let him get that 30-year head start is because we've actually been planning this for many, many years.
Yeah, when they were babies.
Yeah. So, in terms of planning ahead, I think it's been important that we didn't just like wait to talk to them about buying a house till they were ready to leave.
Right.
Okay, we've actually been talking to them about buying a house when they were 15, 16, 17 years
Plant
old.
those seeds early. You're not living here forever.
Yeah, exactly. You know? But when they first got a job, it wasn't like, oh great, you have a job, you could just blow all the money that you've made.
Right.
No, it was, oh great, you have a job, good, because you have to pay for college and you have to buy yourself a car and then you have to buy yourself a house. and we sat down and talked about their actual future. At no point were they ever just allowed to go blow their money. Now, to a degree, they have when we budget with them, they each set aside a portion of what they make for them to enjoy. And I think that's a good practice. I think we have a portion of what Rick makes and what I make that we set aside for ourselves to enjoy.
Right.
And if you can afford that, great. But you also have to be wise, and you can't just let these assets that are coming in go to waste. I think having those conversations when they were very young help them to think ahead for the future now, so that when they leave our house, they can think even further in the future. So soon we'll be talking to them about planning for retirement. I mean, Brian's already considering investments in 401k. He's only 20. But again, that's part of the 30-year head start. You know, these are things that we wish people had told us.
Right.
And so we're making sure that we tell our children, because we want them to have that head start so that they can, in the generation after them, give them an even further head start. You know, do as much as they can to keep them as far ahead as possible. So we're thinking generationally. I think I've mentioned that in other videos before. But it's that planning ahead that's important.
Yeah, and I do think it is very important. I think in theory, a lot of parents want to, but I think the reality is very few do. And I'm not saying we did a perfect job.
No, by no means.
But, I mean, it was something that we thought about.
Yes.
And something that we tried to achieve, to execute. And, you know, time will tell if it took.
Well, that's true.
You know, it's really on them now.
That's true.
You can only do so much. You tell them, you show them, you instruct them, and then they have to.
They got to make a choice.
They have to take the ball and run with it.
Yeah.
So.
But I think these are the things that I feel that we did at least try to teach our children that were important, that are going to help them in the future. And I think, like I just said a minute ago, it's really more about the things that we wish we had been told.
Right.
Because when Rick and I got married, we had no college education, no paid for vehicles, no house, and we had kids and were married. So I mean, it was just...
There were some hard years.
It was a struggle.
The Lord's been really good to us, because I mean, all glory and praise to Him. We're really at a point in our life where it's gotten a lot, you know, we easier. I don't say easier because there's challenges all the time. But it's different than it was.
We've kind of dug ourselves out of the hole a bit.
Yeah.
So, but it took some effort, and we just didn't want them to go through that. So, lessons learned, lessons we've taught them. All right, well, that's my 3 things. We're going to hear what Rick's 3 things are in the next video, so make sure you check that out. And I know you can't wait to share that. And he's probably going to fill his coffee because he's out.
Yeah.
And
we talked a long time, dude.
I'm sorry. I got a lot of thoughts on this.
She's a talker. You should have your own channel. I'm just kidding.
Wow. If you knew us, you would know this guy's the talker. It's true.
I have my moments.
Anyway.
Sometimes I'm the quietest one in the room.
Sometimes, but if you really know him...
I'm back and forth.
Yeah. Okay. He's going to fill his coffee, and then we're going to get his opinion, and you guys can check that out in our next video. So, keep an eye out for that, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye! Hey, thanks for watching. I'm really glad you came to visit us here at the Fundamental Home. Make sure if you enjoyed this video that you click the like button, and also click subscribe right below me for more videos coming into your inbox all the time. And also, if you enjoy social media, we've got links up at the top here for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, all the other fun things. And check out thefundamentalhome.com for more information about what we're doing all the time and how we do it, because there's way more details there. And here over to the right, we have some videos that I recommend. So thanks again for coming by, and we'll see you next time. Bye!